Assalamu alaikum. I'm looking to see. Oh, I have 21 minutes. So, this subject that is coming up in the mainstream, everyone's talking about it, having to do with Kanye. And out of curiosity, I listened to the video where he was expressing his views. And while it is obvious that there is some imbalance, it's fascinating to me that everything that was said, out of everything that was said, which did contain truth, as most people, when they speak, are going to say something of truth and value. It's interesting to me that the focus was that one controversial statement. And I don't want to talk about how false it was. I don't want to talk about what many or the people that I've listened to, such as LeVar Burton, I only heard the beginning of what he said in regards to that. And LeVar Burton was someone who played in a movie called Roots, which depicted one man's journey as a slave and what he went through. See, the thing is, again, I'm processing this. I'm processing it as I'm speaking. I didn't write notes, and a lot of times, if I do that before, everything will be more concise and more linear. But my mind doesn't work in a linear way generally. It goes here, here, here. And so to me, I think it's very interesting, the subject of choice and slavery. Because, of course, when we look at the history, there were those that fought back. There were those that, when they were on the ship, they fought. They fought to such a degree that they were killed. They fought to such a degree that they were thrown overboard. There were situations of, for example, I remember my grandmother saying, I would have been with Nat Turner and the boys. Actually, my mom told me that my grandmother used to say that. So I shouldn't say I remember my grandmother saying it. I remember my mother telling me that my grandmother would say that she would not have been able to endure what people went through in that time of enslavement. And so she would have been with those who revolted and killed the oppressors. So what I want to say, and I'm not saying that what Nat Turner did was correct either, because he killed children. His idea was they'll grow up and they also will be people who will enslave us, and it was horrific. Yes, that period of time was horrific. The way the women were treated as animals, the way they were used, abused, and this has gone on throughout history. But the point that I want to focus on is, okay, those 400 years, no one had a choice. No one had developed the proper psychology to be unique like Nat Turner, who decided enough is enough. We're going to get together and we're going to do something about this. And I'm sure it took a lot of many years to get to that point to produce a Nat Turner. Because when you're brought to a new country, a new land, you're not right away able to understand what you can do to actually band together with others and fight back. So, again, I don't agree with the statement in and of itself, but what about the slavery of today? What about the enslavement that many people are choosing? Because we think of enslavement as bars. We think of enslavement as chains. We think of everything, including enslavement. Enslavement and slavery is a perfect example. And I want everyone to really listen to this. Please listen to this point if you don't listen to anything else. If you don't listen to me go on about anything else, pay attention to what I'm about to say right now. We are often presented with the most extreme versions of a thing that is harmful to us, harmful to the soul, harmful to the society at large. We are often presented with the most extreme version of that so that we do not recognize the subtle. And so I heard there was this time when Roots was shown on television, and they made sure not to just show it in one station, but whatever stations were connected, whatever networks were connected, they played it on both. They wanted to make sure that these images were imprinted upon the psyche. And up until Black Panther, it seemed to me, I was complaining about this or saying this for years, it seemed to me that a lot of the mainstream movies and black actors and actresses that were winning awards were often playing butlers, slaves. You know, they're winning these great awards, but they played a butler, they played a maid, they played a slave, they played, what else? What else am I thinking of? They are in some position where they are acting very uncouth, not with honor, not with dignity, integrity by any means whatsoever. Even when you look at the comedy, you don't look at the black actors that are often in comedies and say, I want to be like that when I grow up. This is an example of a man that I want to emulate and be like, a woman that I want to be like. That's not what you see. The women that are put forward, the roles that they play, more often than not, that is not what you see. So there was this pushing of to the forefront these visuals and these ideas so that we don't look to people like Mansa Musa, who was the wealthiest man in history, who was African and Muslim, and who had so much gold that when he went to Egypt, he gave away so much charity on his way to making the pilgrimage, Hajj, that the value of gold was decreased for several years. We don't hear about him. We don't make movies about those type of individuals, people like him. So when I think about what is shaping our psychology and how often, more often than not, it is those who own the media and those who are shaping our culture. It's a form of slavery. Anytime you can have someone come out and say, everybody, this is the dance of today, and you have little girls and boys and women and everybody thinking that shaking their butt up and down is something that is really desirable. See, I have my own self speechless because I'm thinking about when you think of images of honor and images of respect, and then you look at the opposite. Like all of us can think of something in our mind, and I think that the majority are being pushed to really lowly, demeaning ways of presenting themselves. And as I was saying in the morning when I made an audio recording of thoughts that were on my mind, I wish some of us would actually act like some animals. Like if we acted like many animals, I think that our society would be a lot better. Why don't we act like swans? We don't have to act like dogs or pigs, you know? We don't like or act like a monkey. We can why not if you want to emulate an animal, why not a swan? You know, beautiful, graceful, floating on the water, monogamous with their partner. And I don't even have an issue with polygamy or polygyny. But I'm just saying, why are the other animals the ones that are emulated? So going on a tangent is that the extreme version of a thing causes us to not recognize subtlety. I see this with evil, presentations of evil. Evil has to have horns and go, and evil has to be wicked. I'm going to do this to you, and evil has to be sinister. Evil has to be dark. This is how it's presented in the mainstream. But evil can be beautiful. Evil can be light. Evil can whisper the sweetest words and offer the greatest indulgences and pleasures. Evil can come in the form of light. Evil can be the most attractive thing in our life. Evil is not always as it is depicted. When we see these programs about zombies, and there was this time where it was all of the people were even in, I think it was in Australia, doing I can't remember what it's called now, maybe the Melbourne something, I can't remember, Melbourne Shuffle. It was something where people were dressed up as zombies, as dead people walking, and walking like, arms out like, I can't do it when I'm holding this, but you know what I mean? Like walking as if they were a zombie, acting as if they're a zombie, making the faces as if they're a zombie. So that is the depiction of what it means in our mind now to be undead, to be dead, to be living dead, walking dead. But how many are walking dead without those postures, without the glazed eyes, without eating people, without all of that? There's still a level of zombieism going on in our society. When we see the films of people in prison, these shows that are glorifying and making the life of prison actually seem attractive. We have to understand there's a reason for all of this. It's not haphazard. Television, the creation of television and the programming that's on there, it was never for the purpose of pure entertainment. It was always for indoctrination. And how can we indoctrinate the people in an entertaining way? How can we plant our ideas and our values inside of them such that they don't even realize it? Because when you're laughing at something, you're accepting it. When you are entertained by something, you're in a certain state of you're not on defense. When someone knocks on your door, like Jehovah's Witness, people make jokes about it. When they would knock on the door, people are on the defensive. They're like, oh no, you have a pamphlet? You're going to share some knowledge with me that has to do with an obvious belief system or an obvious agenda? We're kind of trained to hate that or dislike that or feel an aversion to that. But like removing the messages I'm getting. But when it comes to the subtle, we're not trained to notice the subtle. We're not trained in that. So a lot of us, in many ways, in certain aspects, are imprisoned. We're all followers. So this whole thing of, and that's another thing. Everyone is calling everyone else sheep. Everyone is calling someone else a sheep. Oh, those sheep, those sheep. Guess what? I'm a sheep. I'm a sheep also. But I'm also a shepherdess. Every one of us is leading, and every one of us is following someone. So this whole thing of everyone saying, oh, those sheep. So what do you think you are? You're not following anyone. All your ideas came about just miraculously, spontaneously. You didn't get any, the way you dress, how you speak, what you consider to be cool, what you consider to be sexy, what you consider to be intelligent, what you consider to be desirable. That was planted from someone, from somewhere. The question is not whether or not we are sheep. The question is, who is our shepherd? The question is not if we're following someone, but who are we following? We're all following someone. We're all following someone's ideas. My thing is, I don't want to follow the ideas of those who are purposely destroying humanity. I don't want to follow the ideas of those that are programming the masses. And to me, if I start going deeper and deeper and I see, wow, they are really damaging us. Like there's so much damage going on. There are many people out there wanting to help and wanting to aid, but there's a strong force that is bringing us down. And coincidentally, that same force hates Islam, which coincidentally and interestingly enough has elevated me in my life and made so much sense of everything that I see and perceive. And it not only clarifies for me, but it connects me as well. It shows me the points which I can connect with others on ways that are meaningful. So that's a whole nother subject. But it's very important. It's very important to say, these people lie to us, these networks lie to us, these mainstream media is pushing us toward depravity, which has not helped our society, has not helped our mentality. It's not aided us. What they're pushing us toward has not aided us. And also they telling us to hate this religion more than any other one. Something to think about. Something to think about. So back to the idea of slavery. If we need to focus on those 400 years, let's focus on the slavery of today. Let's focus on the mental slavery, as Bob Marley sang to us and taught us to free ourselves from. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. So when you think about that, we have to make the decision to want to be free. We have to make the decision. And I believe that the only one that can truly free us is Allah. Because there's so many traps, and they are so layered and they are so deep that we need that basira, we need that insight from Allah to bring us to clarity on every level. On every level. And I am not, and I will say this probably in every video, I am not exempt in any way, shape, or form from needing that guidance. And that is why I am asking. I'm asking constantly. So, on that note, let us not worry so much about the 400 years that have passed, but let's think about the 400 years that are possibly to come. And what are we doing so that the next generation and the following generation is not suffering. And in our little bubbles, our beautiful bubbles, like where I am now in Kopangan, I'm going to see the sunset, which is gorgeous, spend time with people teaching me how to connect with myself, how to connect just with my breath even. Our breath, it's amazing the healing that can take place when you oxygenate your body, when you flood your body. Being in a place where others are I met someone the other day, what day was he on? 24, 25 days of coconut water, cleansing himself, getting rid of these plastics, getting rid of these metals, getting rid of all that we've accumulated over the years. Ramadan is coming. My Muslim brothers and sisters and those that want to try it out, Ramadan is a great time. The energy, that the barakah, the blessings, they're for everyone. Allah gave us this month. The month is for humanity. It's not for Muslims. It's just that some people choose to be open to that way of submitting to that guidance, the Quranic guidance that confirms what all the other prophets taught. And sometimes I don't like to sound preachy, but I want to share this. I want people to know this other perspective. And some people aren't going to like it. And whoever is not interested, please unfriend me. Just unfriend me now. Because that's what my life is about. It's about comparing and connecting and sharing and going deep. And also sharing from these teachings that we have purposely been removed from. The very thing that contains the sustenance and the nourishment and the beauty and the pure divine light, without worshiping other than the one that created us, without partner, without anthropomorphism, without raising rocks and idols and all of that to a level of divinity. Like people wear things and they say, this protects me. Nothing protects you except Allah. Nothing protects us. And then sometimes you'll have a spirit or an entity that will attach to that thing because it wants you to believe in that particular item, in that particular invocation. So then you start to think, oh, that's divine. But from the Islamic perspective, it's not divine. So we have to be careful. Whatever I'm wrong in, I ask that I am corrected. that the truth comes to me. And whatever I am correct in, I pray that it becomes firm and cemented in my heart, growing deep roots and bringing forth fruits that I can share with you, whom I love.